Hello, this is professional video game liker Tim Rogers. You are watching Kotaku.com. I played the first hour of the new God of War game in a fancy hotel suite in 4K HDR on a PlayStation 4 Pro whilst talking to director Cory Barlog and drinking a complimentary cup of decaf coffee. I figured God of War is generally so invigorating that to imbibe caffeine whilst playing would surely induce a heart attack. Wow, decaf coffee sucks. They should rename decaf coffee Idiot Water. I asked you on Twitter to ask me anything about God of War 2018, and you sure did ask me anything. If you'd like to possibly be featured on a future video of this nature, please follow me on Twitter. And if I don't answer your question in this video, please don't kill me. First up, we gotta address Kratos' beard. It seems like most of you just wanted to talk about Kratos' beard. You asked me if it can be upgraded, if it can sharpen Kratos' axe, and if there's going to be beard-related DLC. Creative director Cory Barlog did not say a single word about the beard. A dubious silence, given his own possession of a beard. I'd say, youch. Shave that rat's nest off your face, you numbskull. Have you heard? Kratos is a dad. By far the most popular object of question askers' curiosity was Kratos' hardcore action paternity. He's got a kid now. Kratos is big, his kid is small. If movies have taught me anything, it's that things can get pretty crazy if two people with different body proportions exist around each other. Conrad Zimmerman asks, now that you're a father, do you think you'll begin to moderate your use of foul language in the presence of children? I was surprised to find that stepping into Kratos' sandals of responsibility immediately downgraded the ESRB rating of my mouth. Something about the presence of a close proximity baby child tamed my tongue. Instead of my usual damage-taking exclamations of heck and darn, I found myself accidentally substituting oops and youch. Shed Volans asks, was Kratos' kid born stupid? Most of us were born stupid. For example, I was. I take it Kratos' child Atreus is no different in this regard. However, by the time we join this father and son in medias res, the kid has learned a great deal. He's smarter than his daddy. Look at this. Kratos relies on him to read the ancient runes scattered about the Norse terrain. The kid is smart to the point of kinda being a Poindexter. He's all like, huh? Interesting. I may need to write that down.
Huh. Interesting. I may want to write that down.
However stupid he might have been at birth and however smart he is now, Kratos wastes no opportunity to inform his child again and again that he is not ready.
No! You are not ready!
Alex Savage asks, is this game a suitable replacement for having an actual son? Strangely, yes. If I had a child Atreus' age, you'd better believe I'd be coaching him at esports. Listen to Kratos here, teaching his progeny the fundamentals of aggro.
What was that? Can I help?
If you want to help, distract them. Whoever is not my focus should be yours, but only when safe to do so.
Now listen to him dad philosophize toward his offspring regarding the art of precision.
Was I better?
Take even more time. It does not matter if you fire only once. Show me control.
If I may be completely serious for a moment, I genuinely totally love this. He's teaching his son how to play the video game the player is playing, using in-world vocabulary. In all sincere admiration, I declare that video games have come a long way from Marcus Phoenix groaning out the actual words, Dom! Revive me! Dan Plays Drums asks, is the boy annoying? Good question. A friend of mine once described his kid to me with these exact words. You know what, dude? My kid is a good kid. I want to say the same thing about Atreus. He's a good kid. For example, he can fire arrows to distract opponents during battle. You can tell him when and where to shoot. He can trip enemies to incapacitate them. He can jump on enemies' shoulders to imprison them briefly. That's the exact opposite of annoying. And as far as in-game tutorial characters go, Atreus is charmingly cryptic. His typical hint when you're stuck is something like, over there. Also, wow. Listen to him straight up call his daddy clever.
You froze it in place. clever.
I gotta say, that's kinda patronizing. Who patronizes the patriarchy? This kid, apparently. Alex Rothier asks, is he a good dad? I'm assuming you're talking about Kratos and not my dad. Let me talk about my dad, though. My dad is a good dad. However, he never gave me piggyback rides up a sheer cliff face. So I'd say that qualifies Kratos as a spectacular dad. One negative, he repeatedly calls the kid boy.
Boy. Boy. Boy.
He has a name, bro. Brooklyn's own Coach Comics asks, does Kratos ever get that dad bod? Age hasn't slowed Kratos' fitness down. He doesn't quite have that weird ivory-colored Gumby sleekness he had back on the PlayStation 2. Though if my math is correct, clear abdominal definition and huge Zeus sword stomach scars disqualifies a man from the categorical distinction dad bod. Kratos has beefined and thickened during his journey from Greece to Viking country. His physique expertly toes the line between chiseled and practical. He's more of a man than he was before. He's more of a dad, and he has more of a body. Though please, let's not call it a dad body. The man has suffered to look like this. Now that everyone who fears the responsibilities of parenthood has closed the tab, let's talk about the game action. VMCB asks, is it good? Yes, it's very good. I am going to play the whole game. I will play it as slowly as I can. I will walk off the main path and claim every optional treasure chest. I will tilt the camera up and down and look at every 4K HDR cliff and wall I pass. Louis Phil asks, how much Dark Souls is there in it? Well, you click the right analog stick to lock on to the closest enemy. You flick the right analog stick to change lock-on targets. You press the R1 button to perform a light attack. You pull the R2 trigger to perform a heavy attack. At certain points and levels, you lower climbing implements to enable faster backtracking. When I mentioned Dark Souls, God of War 2018 creative director Cory Barlog's immediate response was, I've never heard of that game, what is that game? So in other words, none of it is like Dark Souls at all. Backlogger Roger asks, is the combat more on the side of Dark Souls, Neo, or Devil May Cry past God of War? I'd say God of War 2018's combat is a lot of its own thing. It has a lot of strategy in it. Certainly, it has that Dark Souls-y feeling of needing to deeply understand the durations of enemies' attack animations versus your own, though it also has robust strategic interjections, such as commanding your baby child to fire aggro arrows in a specific direction. At times, its combat requires both the spatial awareness of an FPS and the muscle memories of a MOBA. I love it when a game series changes up its fundamentals like this. Alex Crum asks, the over-the-shoulder camera angle makes it look like God Hand. Does playing it remind you of God Hand? I am pretty sure you asked me this question only because you know I love God Hand and will seize any opportunity to say the words God Hand. However, surprise, God of War 2018 actually does remind me of God Hand. Some of God Hand's best moments are when you knock an enemy backward so that they collide with and/or shatter a tree or a wall. God of War has knockback galore. Get a load of Kratos here knocking this one dude into this other dude, whom his son has stunned. More like God of Hand, David Bernard H. asks, on a scale from Duke Nukem Forever to Tomb Raider 2013, how much does this reboot alter the tone and mechanics of the series? First of all, it's not a reboot. Creative director Cory Barlog has been sure to point that out in many interviews. He calls it a continuation of God of War. It's actually God of War 4. In fact, if you listen closely, you can hear it. God of War. That's the best titling numerology since Too Fast, Too Furious, if you ask me. It's a continuation, yes, though it's also a drastic tonal and mechanical shift, so it's definitely more on the Tomb Raider 2013 side of history. Here's a neat note. Creative director Cory Barlog was the cinematic director of Tomb Raider 2013. Max Sims asks, has it learned anything from The Last of Us? It has! Like The Last of Us, God of War 2018's tone is befitting a good television show. The Last of Us set the gold standard for what game design academics are about to start calling baby child, big friend situations in video games. Those are games that have a baby child, the kid, and a big friend, the parental figure. God of War seems to have learned tonal and mechanical lessons galore from The Last of Us. God of War 2018 is to God of War 2005 what The Last of Us is to Uncharted. The overall vibe of the game is far, far more mature and grounded than the previous games in the series. For example, collectible orbs no longer fly at Kratos from across the screen. He has to go pick up collectibles on purpose. Dumb! My back. Another thing it's learned from The Last of Us is that searching through tall grass for ladders sucks. Sometimes the kid throws down a chain. Jordan Vogt Roberts, director of Kong Skull Island, starring Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, John Goodman, John C. Reilly, Samuel L. Jackson, and many more, available now on digital HD in stunning 4K and Dolby Vision, asks, how does it compare to F-Zero GX? If that seems like an unfair comparison, how does it compare to Bangai-O? If that also doesn't make the cut, then I want to know how the first hour compares emotionally to when the Metroid in Super Metroid taught me concepts of altruism. First of all, Kong Skull Island owns. Now that that's out of the way, this is an impossible question to answer. God of War is a game about being a god. Bangai-O, particularly Bangai-O Spirits for the Nintendo DS and Bangai-O Missile Fury for Xbox Live Arcade, is the video game that an actual god would play. Like seriously, Kratos would play Bangai-O. God of War 2018 turns you into a genius philosopher in your living room. Bangai-O turns you into a divine brain in a box. And F-Zero GX, don't even get me started on F-Zero GX. To play F-Zero GX is to suffer brain damage via a velvet boxing glove. Every race destroys part of you, yet you cannot look away. David Koifman asks, can you please direct every future movie ever? Thanks. Wow, yeah, I'm honored. Yes, I'll get... Oh, I just looked at your Twitter profile. You're not a movie executive, and you were talking to Jordan Vogt Roberts. A Robot Bit Me asks, how's the punch feel? Don't ask me. Ask this idiot getting owned right here. How's this punch feel? Comma Comrade asks, do you miss the chains? Or does wielding the axe feel good? I don't miss the chains. They were great. The Leviathan axe, however, is in 4K and HDR. God of War 2018 commits to the Leviathan axe. This axe feels incredibly good. Every monster kill feels like chopping down a tree or splitting a log. You can tactilely sense Daddy's axe's cold iron blade stopping inside every monster freak's magma-hot body. You can virtually palpate the shrieking idiot's sticky musculature as Kratos yanks the wedgy weapon out from between the squeeze of cloven flesh. You can throw the axe by holding the left trigger and then pressing an attack button. Now you have to press the triangle button to retrieve the axe. It comes flying into Kratos' hand, kinda like Thor's hammer. Furthermore, you can level the darn axe up. To do so, obtain a bounty of trinkets off the level path. Now give these to a blacksmith. Wow, Kratos even dads the heck out of the little Viking leprechaun blacksmith.
Very well. I expect an improvement.
You can put a freeze ability on the axe. Now you can throw it at an enemy to freeze them. They'll stay frozen as long as you don't retrieve the axe. Game designers call that a case of risk-reward. You can also throw the axe at a target and then retrieve the axe such that its return flight path intersects with the position of some monster idiots. This owns them boomerang style.
I like it.
Larkestein asks, 1080p, 60 FPS? Are you joking my eyes out? The God of War logo that Sony sent me is literally 32.9 megabytes.
Look at it.
God of War runs at 4K in 30 FPS with HDR on the PlayStation 4 Pro. It looks amazing. I played the game on a 75-inch Sony Z9D in a hotel suite in Manhattan. That TV costs $7,000. In the moment, I was too busy enjoying the incredible visual experience to wonder how they fit that 75-inch TV in the elevator. Now I'm replaying playing that elevator ride in my head, it stopped at like every floor. Oh God, how did they fit that TV in there? TMM2K asks, if you were Kratos, what anger management solutions would you seek other than ripping the heads off of gods? Just chop some wood, buddy. You got trees all around you. I don't know about anybody else, though just looking at Daddy's axe here is engorging even my lumber hunger. Oh no, did I just call Kratos Daddy? Twice? Capped Kind Awesome asks, threesomes. K. Thor Jensen asks, did you fork for red upgrade orbs? Alright, look, a lot of people asked about God of War 1's infamous sex minigame. This is definitely not that sort of game anymore. It's more grown up, I promise. Having said that, considering that you can spend in-game items to upgrade your son's archery and distraction techniques, and given that children are usually the eventual result of reproductive activities, I would say that, yes, it logically follows that this proverbial forking for red upgrade orbs, as it were, occurred off-camera at some point. I guess this is my opportunity to mention that the camera does not cut at all in this new God of War game. It's actually really impressive. My good friend Alex Jaffe asks, is Kratos gonna fight Thor? He's totally gonna fight Thor, right? Oh my God, you know, I knew this game was set in the Norse pantheon, but it wasn't until I saw your question that I thought, wow, I really want to see Thor. Here, listen to the kid mention Odin.
Oh, this used to be a marketplace. The giants used to gather here to trade with the gods a long time ago. Wonder if Odin was ever here.
It kinda really says something about how much the game impressed me, and how genuinely cool Kratos is, that I didn't even consider the eventuality of Thor, the god of thunder, while playing. And maybe Tom Hiddleston voices Loki. Seriously, Jordan Vogt Roberts, can you tell Tom Hiddleston that I love The Night Manager so much? Alex Jaffe also asks, does the soundtrack sound like it was composed by a guy named Bear McCreary? Battlestar Galactica and The Walking Dead composer Bear McCreary's music in God of War is sweetly ambient during gentle moments, and blustery thunderous during epic murders. It navigates between evoking the splendor of nature and the brutality of bestial fury with such flawless grace that you'd swear an actual bear composed it. Well, I can't think of a better note to end this on. Like Kratos' son, I was born stupid. However, not unlike Kratos, I will not die hungry. Divine immortality unto the video games. Kotaku.com. Sorry bro, that was an accident.